Hi, welcome to Coffees, Brunches, and Brews, where we talk about our favorite things like music,
wrestling,
movies,
wrestling,
sports,
wrestling,
and everything else in between.
Wrestling!
Hi, welcome back to CBB, and today's episode is a very special episode because we have our first guest appearance. My friend from high school, his friend from college or whatever.
Whatever you want to call it.
Not high school.
Zach McCann.
Yeah!
You're probably wondering why Zach is on the show today. It's because, for those who know us, we have an amazing, true story amongst us between us three and another mutual friend of ours.
Who is no longer with us.
In spirit.
I mean, he's alive. He's just not here.
Yeah, for legal reasons, we can't use his name. So we're gonna be calling him
Crajiss Labasketball.
Crajiss Labasketball. So Crajiss Labasketball. So
Crajiss.
So we label ourselves as the Cruise Bros. It may sound stupid, but honestly, the story that we have for you today is a crazy one. So
It's so true that it could be a movie.
So the Cruise Bros consist of Zach, myself, Matt, and Crajiss Labasketball.
God damn it, Crajiss. I hope he watches this.
And so we're gonna go from point A to point B right now. So pretty much to start off.
Well, hold on. Before we start off, I think it's time to crack a beer.
Oh, it is the crack beer, yeah.
I think we need to, if we're going to tell a story.
So we're not doing a brew review right now. We're just having
We are just going to have a good old-fashioned Yingling. Delicious traditional lager.
You're telling me you guys don't want to review a Yingling lager?
I mean, I'm going to give it a fucking 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Compared to, I don't know if you've seen our first episode, Zach, but we had this thing called the Purple Haze. It is
By a beta.
horrifying.
Gross.
How many waffles?
Fucking, if I can give it a negative waffle, I would fucking give it a...
You gave it a 1
I
waffle.
gave it a 1 because I felt bad.
I gave it a 2 waffle because I was giving a pity waffle.
But Yingling, delicious, not a sponsor. Yet.
Yes.
Alright. Should we start the
Should we start? Should we start?
Son of a bitch!
Should we start?
Should we start?
Yeah. So it's funny between the four of us, like. Essentially, I guess I was like kind of like that connection between all four of us because, Zach and I knew each other ever since like we were in middle school.
I did not know these other two men.
Yes. Disclaimer. He did not know these two men. and then Matt and I, we've known each other since before I even could
diapers, He was in diapers, I kidnapped him.
Yeah. But it's funny though, it's like you're like my school friend and you're like my childhood friend. So you guys actually never really interacted
Not
at
really.
all.
So naturally, we would want to spend 23 hours in a car together to go to Miami.
23 and a half to be exact, to Miami. Driving, but we'll get there.
So, and then once college hits, I met our friend Crajiss McBasketball or Labasketball. we're gonna mess that up.
There has to be a shorter name.
Oh yeah, well, Crajiss.
We'll just call him Cran.
Yeah.
Or
I met that
Crajiss.
spherical asshole in Corning Community College. He's a good guy. He's one of my best friends, but I hardly knew him even when we go into college because we met at a party and we just had traveling interests together essentially. And so, and he's a traveling man. He's been all over the world.
The traveling Cran.
That basketball's been bouncing all over the world.
I guess you could say it's really hitting a 3-pointer.
And so, I told him one day when we were hanging out in the commons up at college, I told him, I was like, yeah, we can go on this, you can go on a very cheap cruise for probably a total of $500. Food included, and you just go on to the islands of Bahamas, Jamaica, whatever. And he was just he's like, really? He's like, I can do that? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's dirt cheap. The only thing you have to essentially pay for is like souvenirs and the trip down to wherever
It's crazy
the port
because at
is.
that point he's never been on a cruise.
No,
Right?
he's never been on. He's kind of.
Like he's traveled, but he's never.
Well, cruises are like a cheap way to travel the world.
Well,
it's like
consider
very.
me cheap.
The world.
It's a very touristy way, but he's just like, when us being like young kids at the time, college kids were like, oh yeah, this sounds like fun. So he's just like, he's like, I'm down to do it, and like he's like, he looks at me, I'm like, okay, I'm me barely knowing at this point. I was just like, okay, yeah, let's do this, and I'm like, but we can't do it by ourselves. I want to invite more people, like at least 2 more people, and so that's when I talked to Matt about it, and Matt's just like, he's like, yeah, he's like, because you never been like out of state, really.
No. Well, I have. Just not.
You can't say Canada.
No, I've never been to Canada. True story.
Have you looked at it?
Shocker. I've looked at it from afar.
How far? Buffalo?
From Buffalo.
You just never traveled far, though.
Far. Right, I've never been to Miami. Or the fucking goddamn Bahamas.
Yeah, so I was like, so personally, even like on my end, I was just like, I'm not sure if Matt is going to be into this trip, but you're like, yeah, let's do it. Like,
Well, I just got back, right? So because I went to Binghamton.
Yeah.
For college.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a shit show. I'm not gonna bore you guys with that story, but bitches be tripping. And or traveling. But yeah, and then I came back up here, and I think it was within the first year because we all had that psych class together. That's when it all.
Yeah, so I was about to say, and then that's how, because we all essentially went to Corning Community College together. So
Not a sponsor.
and then and then so. If Corning if CCC ever like sponsored us, that'd be amazing.
Jesus, you guys want to do a live show in our commons? You sure?
We'll give you a meal ticket!
Yes! Fuck yeah!
So, do you remember anything like of how I like proposed it to you?
No, he just kind of asked me, and I remember being on the fence because I'm really stingy about doing anything.
I know.
And,
That's
like,
why I was just like, why? Now going back, I'm like,
I was just
why did Zach say yes?
I almost said no. I mean, I didn't even have a passport or an enhanced license, so
That's true.
I was just kind of like.
Oh yeah, because we had to all get our enhanced license before the trip. I mean, I already had mine, but I was just like.
But you also had your passport as well.
No.
I thought you had a
That
passport.
was.
Crayon.
I'll bleep
Wait,
it out.
bleep it.
Yeah.
Bleep
that one out.
That was Cran.
You did it twice. So you gotta beep it out twice. That's why I made that face. I'm like,
I didn't know.
so
Cran had his passport. God damn
the
it.
traveling crayon.
That fucking orange fuck.
So one thing I do remember about how you brought up to Zach was it would be cheaper if we had another person. And we asked everybody because we knew that you probably would not want to go.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay.
Kind of didn't at first.
And then you're like, well, I'll just try Zach.
Yeah.
And then you ask Zach, and Zach like, and the old man grumble.
I'm gonna eat up my whole spring break. You're telling me you want me to drive 1,000 miles and go to Bahamas so the white people conquer the tourism? Sure, son of a bitch.
Goddamn, my man.
So, to be honest, I was like, we all don't really like. You all know me, but then I was just like, you guys never hung out with each other, so we only had one hangout. And that was bowling.
It was bowling.
It reminded me of when
it was like
2 adult friends have dogs and they're like, let's have our dogs meet. And
So we went bowling. Hangout was great, and we're like, okay. I think that kind of solidified things. We're like, hey, we can go on this trip together. The night before the trip, before we decided we're gonna drive all the way to Miami, the 23.5-hour drive, and we took the.
Like kind of.
Yeah.
Invariably, when I tell people that we did that, they're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Why didn't you fly?"
Yeah,
like,
I get
oh
told
my
that.
God.
They're like, "You
like,
idiot!"
yeah, or they're like, "Wait a minute, you guys didn't stop anywhere and just got a hotel for the night?"
No.
No, we drove Wait a minute, you're gonna sit there and tell me that you drove from Corning, New York, all the way to Miami, Florida, without stopping?
Honestly, though, like, when we were talking about it, we were looking at the Google Maps. We are like, that's not far.
That's not far. Fuck
And
you, Google,
like,
you lied.
And we were like, we could take shifts.
It's a literal 1,000 miles.
Yes.
And I like how we said we take shifts, and we told Matt, I was just like, we're like, are you sure you're comfortable with us driving your car? And you're like, yeah. You're like, I don't mind, but I'll drive as long as I can. But we'll get to that. So
we had a Sacred G.
We had the Sacred G.
2008 Pontiac G6.
We didn't have like a SUV, no truck.
It was
just a car.
Oh my god, crammed right in.
So I miss that car, to be honest. But so, anyways, that was our transportation. And so the night before, I actually couldn't sleep. I was so excited. Like, I was staying the night at his house because you guys were going to meet us at... Oh, God. I did it again. It's so hard. Okay, so, retake.
Yes.
So you're telling me that shrimp fried this rice?
The night before, I was staying at Cran's house. I could barely sleep. And I was very excited for the trip. So I pretty much only got like 2 hours of sleep that night. And then you guys were meeting us at Cran's house.
Yes.
I was at,
Yep.
And then so...
Wait, I remember haggling over the time we depart, and I wasn't a morning person at the time.
Right.
So I was like fighting for 10 a.m., and he's just like the adult about it, actually. He was like, we should leave at like 5 or 6, man, like get it started. I'm like, dude, I want to sleep, so I'm
Is this
rested.
Cran that was doing this? Yeah.
Yeah, he was haggling to do early, and nowadays I think I would have agreed with him. But back then I was like...
Back then...
I was like, dude, I want to sleep.
I think we left at 8.
Something like that. I just know that picture that we have in Cran's driveway was just like the sun was just rising.
Yeah, so I think it was like about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah. And I'm putting that picture up right now. So, but yeah.
Look how dumb I look.
But yeah, the sun was just beating on our eyes, and we're just like, let's be
We're
happy.
so excited.
And oh god, and so I was excited, and we were all just kind of ready to hit the road, get on the road, and just go down. So, but then, god damn it. So, but Cran, he's just like, I have a friend in North Carolina. Let's stop there, Greensboro.
Oh, it's Greensboro.
Yep, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Charlotte.
No, so that was our mark point.
That was like our halfway point.
Halfway point is to
I
stop
guess.
at North Carolina.
Wait, so if I remember correctly, so you drove first, and this was hilarious because you were comfortable with us driving your car, but you drove like shotgun 12 hours straight.
12
and I remember
hours.
getting out of the car and like you were just like pissed.
I was on edge.
You were upset because like you drove so much.
Yeah.
But then like, you know, we were like, okay, we got to relieve him. And it was like that scene from Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is like, give me the ring, Bilbo. And he's like, no.
We hit North Carolina. Matt's like at his like breaking point of where he's been driving since like 7 a.m. in the morning all the way to North Carolina, and we're like Matt, like if you want to have us take over driving, you're like no, I'm fine.
I'm good.
Fine.
I'm
Like,
good. Let's fucking do this.
And then all of a sudden we're like we think Matt's getting mad here, and then all of a sudden he starts revving the engine, goes faster, and I have a camera in his face, and I'm like driving faster will make things safe, and you're like, and then the infamous line, he's just like looks at the camera, he's just like, I'm not fucking mad, okay? You guys really need to cut it out. And that's when the camera cuts off.
So before that though, I think the reason, and this is just me thinking, I think the way I revved the engine and all that shit was getting fast because I got cut off by some guy.
That did not help.
The traffic got bad.
The
now.
traffic got fucking shitty, and I'm trying to figure out which lane I'm supposed to be in. And to this day, I'm still bad with that fucking shit. But I was trying to figure out what lane to be in, and then too many puppies was going on, and then you guys said, I think Matt or Cran.
I can't wait to do this. I can't wait. We'll stick with that.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so then we met up with Cran's friend, who's really nice, by the way. We're not going to mention her name.
I forgot her name.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
She drove a Nissan Note if you want to find her.
fucked up, man. Good luck.
And then so we had food. We took a break. We went to a hookah bar. Do you remember that?
He doesn't.
So this is the point where Matt gave up. Like he literally gave
keys.
he gave, you know, he let Jesus take the wheel.
There you go, buddy.
So and I'm posting that picture up of him right now. And so we went to a hookah bar and we were all relaxing, but then Matt he got his ass kicked by the hookah. Like,
I don't even know what it was. It was like some weird pineapple fruit thing.
Yeah, it was a big pineapple. I think you were just tired and they just finished you off.
Yeah. He was tired, been driving since New York.
Listening to Les Claypool unconsensually.
Yeah, and then hookah'd at the end of the night. And
I did not. I felt like death.
And then
it was bad. I was white. That picture that he put up, I'm whiter than I am now.
And then so
I'm about as white as noon.
Oh my god. And so we all it's late at this point, so we get crammed in the car. Matt's in the back seat with me. Who drove? Was it
Zach?
Frank?
I think I drove next because I remember gave me instruction because oh yeah.
So Crane gave him instructions.
Yes.
I was given instructions on how to merge in this stupid highway in Greensboro.
God,
Yeah.
And I remember I talked about this later after the fact. I was telling a story to someone on Long Island, and he was like, Greensboro traffic isn't bad. I was like, stop gaslighting me. It was awful.
It was fucking trash.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I drove through Georgia.
Yeah. So
we got. Everybody's got to remember too. This is like the biggest traffic we've ever drove in. You know,
at the time.
At the time. Yes, at the time.
Yeah.
You took over somewhere in Florida, and then we pulled over. I want to say it was probably Jacksonville. We went to McDonald's. It's gotta be your bowl. And
I was fucking pissing at fish with bites.
Yes. And then because then Cran took over for, but Cran, he didn't drive that fucking long. No, why didn't Cran drive as much? Now I'm thinking about it.
Well, no, I mean, honestly,
You took
half of it. I mean, you took his quarter.
You can't give him shit.
That's true.
I mean, he really should have taken over right after you got through Pennsylvania all the way.
That's
pretty
true.
much.
And he should have took it to North Carolina.
Yeah, and then it could. But I mean,
hey, it is what it is.
yeah.